All right. Good morning, Center for Spiritual Living Palm Desert and friends all over the world. It's your man, Reverend Charles, with you this morning. And as you can see on your screen, the radiant, magnificent Debbie Dixon is joining me again. Good morning, Debbie.
Good morning.
Good to see you. My buddy.
I love that introduction.
What's that?
I love that introduction. I'll take it.
Hey, a few words can do the trick, right? Just a couple. Why be overly verbose? We're going to leave that for you this morning. You have plenty to say. So before we jump in head first here, just want to welcome everybody. Of course, we've got Jeff at Swing Point Media in the background making the wheels spin here. And we appreciate him and everything that he does. And of course, as always, want to make sure, hey, we're color coordinated, by the way, today.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
Got the memo. You know that you can comment in. As Debbie's going to be presenting quite a bit of material here this morning that's sure to get our engines revved up. Just want to make sure that you are abundantly clear that you can comment in, ask Debbie any questions. We'll make sure that you know how to stay in touch with Debbie by the end of the show through her website, let you know of various things that she's up to, and very much looking forward to this hour together. Before we get into your material, how are you? How's life? What's happening? What's on your front burner?
Life is actually really, really good. I'm so glad that things are starting to open back up. And so I have opportunities again to see people I haven't seen in a while where we were in quarantine and sort of locked away. And it's amazing to reconnect. Yeah, so we're having beautiful weather. I'm in Seattle.
Yes, you. I know. As I mentioned to you yesterday, I was just up there for reasons I'd rather not be up there for, but the Pacific Northwest in the summertime when the sun is out, it is a magical place.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. You went to do you mind? You went to another magical place that we're both familiar with. You mentioned that you just took a little journey. Where'd you go?
I was just in Chelan.
Which is, if you're not familiar, ladies and gentlemen, Lake Chelan in, I guess we could call it Central Washington, kind of North Central, is just another magical place, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. It's just an adorable town, and yeah, it really feels like you're transported somewhere else.
Yeah, it really is. About a three-ish hour drive so from the city. It's wonderful. Yeah. So when we were doing our pregame yesterday, you'd mentioned a couple things. You know, we talking about what we want to address and what rabbit hole we want to jump down. There were two kind of main areas that you said you wanted to address today. Let's just, now that we've got some stuff out, why don't we just jump in? How about with the ppce? This is a ppce. I'm going to let you dive into tell us about it. What is it?
I love that. I didn't make it into an acronym, but thank you, Reverend Charles, for doing that for me. Now, so, essentially, as we are, as you are, right? The position that you're in and I'm in is such a blessed position to be in as we're going through these hard times. And a lot of people are struggling and they just need to reach out. And so we can kind of be that anchor and guidance. And so as we've been moving through these things, I'm always looking for ways I can help people and assist people on that path. And so that's kind of where this came in, is I'm utilizing this a lot in guiding people as we notice ourselves approaching a fork in the road. We always have this choice in life to sort of avoid conflict or the things that we're scared of or fearful of, or to face it head on. And, really, I believe that the goal in life, and, a lot of yoga teaches us this, is to learn how to navigate the uncomfortable. And almost, you really find mastery when you find comfort in discomfort. when you're always pushing the edge or moving yourself beyond your comfort zone, because that's where expansion happens, right? And and a lot of what we're seeing today is this move away from what's uncomfortable. If it's scary, don't look at it. Let's just close off and let's go over here. And so what you just said, ppce, is really the idea is in yoga, the practice to poke, provoke, confront, and elevate. So we want to find those places within you where you tend to move towards what feels safe and comfortable, right? You want to notice those things. You want to notice when something sort of pokes at you a little bit and you feel a little bit a little discomfort coming on. And the idea is when you notice that, instead of right away running from it, can you learn how to confront whatever it is that's poking you or provoking you? Can you confront it? And that's not in a way where you're, taking it on ready to fight. It's just looking at it, facing it. You still stay in love, you still stay connected, but you just present yourself to it. And instead of running from it, you approach it and you try and find peace with it. And once you can do that, suddenly you find grace on the other side and there's this movement. Oh, go ahead.
You mentioned yesterday, because to me, you're a yoga master. You said that sometimes when you're in a particular pose, and of course, I think you just mentioned that, you're in a pose where it's actually, you feel like something is, this is a really strenuous or difficult pose to maintain. Yeah. And that's where poking and provoking starts to happen, right? And so that practice of yoga is life, right? And
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, life shows up on the mat. The yoga mat is the place where we can really look inward. As small children, we're taught right away about the external world and how to navigate through the external world. This is how you walk, this is how you talk, this is how you present yourself. But we aren't really shown about this inner realm. And there's so much stuff that goes on there that then ripples out into our external world. In fact, really is what creates, or the reflection. So yoga is that. It's the opportunity to kind of turn away from the external world. You don't have distractions, you don't have life happening, and really look at yourself. And so this poke, provoke, confront, and elevate is actually a formula given to us by Yogi Bhajan, who's sort of a great, yogic sage that brought us Kundalini yoga, which is Kriya yoga. And Kriya yoga essentially is what you just mentioned. It is finding something that at the base of it looks simple, like hold your arms above your head. And at first, I can do that, no problem, right? And this is how life is. You can show up to something and it's no problem at first. But then you're holding it 5 minutes, 10 minutes, all of a sudden the arms are getting really heavy, really heavy. Now we're provoking, we're poking and provoking just a little bit, right? And then suddenly the mind starts really running. It's telling you to get out of that pose, get away from it. You can't do this anymore. And all these thoughts start to emerge. This is where the confrontation comes in. This is where you have this opportunity there to not tune into those thoughts that the mind is trying to pull you out of your peace or take you away from that moment, and tune into something else. You get to take charge and control of that. You get to find grace in that moment. I think yesterday I referred to it like the runner. So most people would be able to really relate to this. The runner that, it hits the wall. And that inevitably happens. I don't care how long you've been running, you're going to keep pushing your edge. It's the way it is. And eventually you're going to hit that next wall. And every time you do, there's the opportunity to confront whatever shows up in that space. And then you find your power when you move through it to the other side. And then on the other side, always, every runner will tell you, there's this grace, almost like they feel held and lifted and assisted. This is elevate. This is when suddenly we've now elevated above where we were moments before. And so when that yoga practice is over, or that run is over, we are changed. We have found a new power that we didn't know we had.
Excuse me. Ooh. Will you give us an example or two of how that shows up in our lives today? Practical living. When we talk about kind of the big 4 areas, within our center, there's finances, relationships, health, and creativity, creative expression, whether it be through your vocation, where you serve, things like that. How would this ppce show up in our daily living, especially right now?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, again, right now, we are constantly in the space of uncomfortable, just a little bit. And we're running from it. So it's like, oh, I don't like this, so let me just not look at it. Let me go over here. And there's a lot of, it's so much easier to just avoid, and we can see that in relationships, so we're seeing it all over social media. There's these, places where somebody says something we don't like, so I'm going to unfriend you, I'm just going to get away from it. So if we stand up in a place of love and compassion and kindness, and instead of running from these things, if we just, confront them, we sit in them, and we notice our mind, we notice where we're blocking ourselves, and through that we can find power. So this shows up in, I think it was kind of yesterday what I was talking about to you was, again, this mastery of our external world that we're taught to do. And what we're not taught to do is master the inner realm, right? So there's a lot of avoidance that goes on with what's happening within ourselves. And so we distract ourselves with the external world. So like, this person's mean to me, and that feels uncomfortable, so I'm just going to turn away from them. And or this is uncomfortable. It happens in our jobs. Maybe our boss is pushing us too hard, or we're not liking the way that we're showing up to work. Instead of looking at that, instead of confronting it from a place of, it's not the external world that's doing things to me, it's what's happening within me. And that's what I have control over. I can look at my mind and the way I'm approaching this. I can, start to really confront what thoughts are showing up right now. And are they in any way maybe creating this,
So
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, Deb. So if let's say someone's going to take this on earnestly, and let's say they're in debt way more than they want to be. Let's talk money first.
Yeah.
So how do we deal with it if dang, how did I get here? Like shame, like when shame or embarrassment or, the things that kind of immobilize us from time to time come up within poke, provoke, confront, and elevate. How do we navigate those types of, when we become willing, is it the same thing? So we have to kind of drill down into, okay, where does this shame pattern come from? Can you speak to that a little bit? Is it the same process?
Absolutely.
Go for it.
Absolutely. Everything is a story. And again, when we can really look at ourselves and we can see that through our stories, that's why it takes being able to pause for a moment and analyze. And so again, back to as children, we're taught how to navigate the world, and we're taught from a place of fear that really the goal is survival. So, that's your goal. And so we're taught to react instead of create. And so we've forgotten this innate, what exists within you, this incredible power to create the filters that you're viewing the world through, and how much perception, how important that is. And your perception that is viewing the world is created by, filters of beliefs. You and I could be looking at the exact same thing and see it two completely different ways. And I will never know how you're seeing it, because I can never be in your eyes and in your mind and in your filters. So I could be looking at something, I'm seeing beauty and grace, and you're seeing something awful, right? And that all has to do with purifying, cleansing, and healing our filters that we're viewing the world through. And so here's something that I always talk about is this consciousness, how to shift consciousness. And we really need to do this on the mass level, especially right now. We're seeing a lot more depression and a lot more suicide and a lot of, people that really are getting stuck.
Anxiety.
Oh yeah. And of course, it's really easy to do that when we're feeling isolated, alone. And again, it's so interesting that we live in such an abundant world. We have limitless resources. Right now, if we look at the way that we're existing, we just from 20 years ago, the level of comfort that we have right now is massive in comparison to 20 years ago. If I'm hungry while I'm talking to you, I could pick up my phone and order food and have it. We lack for nothing. Our comforts are met, right?
You've got 45 minutes to have a meal in front of you, okay? By the time we're done, We want to see you grab on some Chinese food, all right?
You know, it could happen if I wanted. I can make it, and that's different. It's at our fingertips. Our comfort is, and so really we can have, we are so much more comfortable than we were 20 years ago, but we're not happier. In fact, depression rates have soared. You know, they say like 1 in 5 people are on some sort of, you know, antidepressant or some sort of medication to assist them in feeling okay. And then what's really interesting is with that lack and scarcity mentality that's happening and sort of plaguing us is that we live in the planet with 7.7 billion people right now. And again, 1 in 5 of them is experiencing this, at least within our country of the United States. And yet many, many, many people would say they feel very alone. So that shows that there's this abundance of people. You're surrounded by people, yet many people say they feel very, very alone. And this is even before quarantine. And then we're going through food. We have more than enough food on this planet to feed everybody and some. And yet there's people starving. You know, same thing with water. And again, we have more comfort than we can ever imagine, yet there's people that are very uncomfortable. And all of this is not a lack of what are, you know, of what is showing up or what is there, but a lack of consciousness, our ability to see it.
Yep. It occurs to me that it's the very same thing that allows me to order a meal right now and have it brought to me that keeps me isolated and alone. Yeah. The comfort, the technology that allows me to do that keeps me from going out and interacting with people, keeps us from socializing, yeah.
So is the answer getting more comfortable? No, that's where we started this conversation. The answer is not looking for comfort, and that's what we do. So we strive to create things to make us more comfortable, but really that's not where joy is. Joy is an expansion, and that is an approaching what's uncomfortable and learning how to be comfortable there. It's navigating that. So that's the poke, provoke, confront, elevate, right? When we can do that, when we can learn that life never stops coming at us, please don't. Please don't stop providing challenges for me, because I pray that next year I'm a completely different person.
Yes.
Next year, I'm looking back at me right now in this conversation and I'm like, oh my God, what was I doing, right? Because that's growth, that's expansion. And if we just keep ourselves comfortable, we're never gonna grow.
Right on. Yep, right on. We're gonna take a small commercial break because for some reason I'm sweating this morning, which is not unusual here in the desert for me, even with the going on. So I'm gonna take my Center for Spiritual Living facial covering and turn it into a headband.
I love it.
How's that look?
That's a fantastic look.
Is that a good look for me?
Yes. Where can I get one, sir?
Yep, we have plenty. I'll ship you one. Yeah, we've got plenty of them. So this is a process: poke, provoke, confront, elevate. Are you saying we should enter into it, that we should actually initiate it, right? That we should look for things that we can poke? People would say, don't poke the bear, but you're saying poke the bear.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Find ways to shake things up. See, we are by nature, we are habitual creatures. So we tend to like to go into habit, right? To create, you want to know what to expect every day, right? And actually it's funny because people will always ask for something greater. I have a lot of clients that they're like, I'll say, what do you want? And they're asking for the world. They're like, oh, Debbie, what I want is, you know, I want a big house. I want this. I want all this and blah, 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 blah. And so I'm like, oh, fantastic. I love that, right? Because that's expansion. That's saying, I want more. I'm moving forward. Great. And then guess what happens? They'll call me the next week and they're like, oh my gosh. So, you know, my job gave me more response. Now I have a higher, you know, so they're getting more money and and we just moved into a bigger house and they're telling me all these big changes and how they're overwhelmed and how they just can't. And I'm like, if you keep telling that story, watch it all go away again. You have to not tell that story of now I'm overwhelmed. Don't let it come in, because I guarantee that's how you lose everything really, really quickly. Instead, I want you to ask God or the universe for the grace to support all the new things coming your way. Because remember, you asked for them, and say thank you first. Thank you so much. And now I need just a little bit of help, some systems to be able to hold all of this abundance.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. So, so the comfort and discomfort. I agree with you on that. I've actually, we need to get comfortable within the discomfort. What is that to you? What is the experience of that? To be comfortable within the discomfort. How do we? Because it's a paradigm, right?
Yeah.
How do we become? Do we just get used to being uncomfortable?
Absolutely. You tell a different story about it. See how it's perception based, right? Because even uncomfortable is just a story of perception. Yeah. Usually it's fear based, right? Always. So that's where, again, the confront comes in, because you have to go, what is it? What's the story I'm telling about this thing that is making me feel uncomfortable? And then I have to look at it. That's the confrontation. Let me look at this story, dissect it, go deep to the base of the fear. Usually, oftentimes, right, 90% of the time, the fear is, I'm not worthy, I'm not deserving. This could be like you're starting a new relationship and suddenly you're uncomfortable every single time you go and see that person, right? And it's because, am I good enough? And so you have to look that fear and follow it all the way to the end. And then there's an opportunity to come into love. I need to love myself a little bit more. Always, it's a piece of you that needs a little more love that is bringing about that discomfort. Always. And then when we can love that, then we elevate, right? We find another layer within ourselves and we can shift. And now we have it from that elevated view, a whole new perspective. Right? Love yourself and you're looking at that new relationship. Now you're excited about going on that, next thing. And you're not, sitting in discomfort.
So as with most principles, what I'm hearing is that this poke, provoke, confront, elevate can happen moment by moment, day by day, over the course of a lifetime, that it's a formula that we can continue to, okay, where am I experiencing lack or limitation, as we call it, lack and limitation, the L and L? Do I want a greater good? And then we can insert this formula, okay, poke it a little bit. What's happening here? What's keeping me small? Provoke it, confront, elevate to a new truth. But then we do it all over again with over and over.
Yeah. You just have to, it's a wisdom that starts to arrive of this internal, again, it's not, we use the external world as a feedback loop.
Feedback loop.
Notice what's happening in my external world, and that becomes the feedback to me of what's happening in my internal world. And then I have to go there to fix it.
Yeah.
Right? Do a little inner engineering. We shift whatever is happening in my mind and my body and my being. And then from that, we can alter what's happening in our external experience, because all we're doing is changing the filters we're looking at it through, changing our perception. Suddenly what was just uncomfortable now becomes comfortable because I shifted here,
Right on. I want to remind everybody, Jeff, do we have any comments or anything coming through? I haven't seen anything yet. I just want to remind everybody, you can ask Debbie questions, send comments in, be a participant.
Yes.
It helps invigorate the. What's that, Debbie?
I would love to hear from people. Yes.
Is there anybody out there? Okay, so you mentioned feedback loop, and I made a note of this yesterday. Let's move into this layers of the self thing. I know we've been talking about it a little bit. Physical, emotional, mind, and spirit. Talk about a little bit, your relationship with that and how you present that to your clients. By the way, I'd like everybody to know, so as we get into that, Debbie's got a few spots open in a retreat she's doing in Sayulita, Mexico, in October. And what is it, 7 days? Is that right?
Yeah.
7 days. You can find information about that at debbiedixon.net. Debbie, Dixon.net. And so let's do this first. So what you're about to talk about and what we've already talked about fit into 7 days with you in Mexico? What you told me that by the time people leave this retreat, they're going to be in love like they've never been in love before. You said with each other,
Yes.
but with themselves as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So talk about it.
Absolutely. So this is something I've been doing for a really long time, probably at least 15 years now, because time flies. So I do something called Realizing Your Dreams. It's just a program that I put together, and it's of course it's changed over the years, and it really walks you through the process of who am I, how am I showing up, what is my story, who do I want to be, and so what we do on these retreats, they're transformational retreats, we sort of move through all of these layers of self that you just mentioned, cleansing, purifying, working through, healing, and we can really come into some clarity about who we are. And again, that's what shifted. We've forgotten when we were born, and we are instantly thrown into this external world, and we become mesmerized by it, and we're told how to pay attention to this and how to fear this, and we're never really told how to work on that inner being and how important that is to create what it is that we experience. And so with these retreats, I sort of show you that again. I give you back that power. And we're working on it in a fairly intimate group. I keep it usually less than 15 people. And so it's a bond that happens through that process where people really become vulnerable and start to reveal themselves. And through that, they get to be seen through the eyes of others, and really seen, probably seen like they've never been seen before. And so through that, there is this love. It's like, I feel safe to show you my heart, to really show you who I am. And then when I do that to you, you suddenly feel safe to do that back. And suddenly there's this opening. It's a beautiful experience. Beautiful.
Well, that's what we need. We need that experience daily in our experience right now.
Absolutely.
Without even, I think it's beautiful to go on retreat and do those things and get juiced up. And I love those things, but exactly what you just described, really seeing, people that don't look like me, people that don't act like me, people that are into other things that I'm not into. Yeah. We can do that in a retreat setting and begin to appreciate it, but on a daily setting here in our world as well, how can we cultivate that appreciation that, okay, well, I don't ride a Harley, but the guy stopped for gas at the gas station. I'm like, wow, that's a cool looking bike. He's got the bells and whistles on it, and the engine's loud and ferocious. I mean, I'm not a bike rider, but I can appreciate it still, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's a big piece of what it is that we need to be moving through right now, is this mastery of the self. And so we have to watch our stories. We don't even realize, again, those filters that I'm telling you that you're perceiving the world through, that you see that guy on the Harley through, and your judgments that instantly come up about what a guy on the Harley means to you. Those are not your truth, right? They've been given to you. Maybe you watched a movie when you were younger. I mean, it's a program that's running through your system. You can always choose to look at that program and ask it, is it still true? What are these beliefs I have about this particular person? And can I start to, instead of putting them in a category based on the way they're showing up, can I start to just look for how they're just like me? The biggest shift for me on my path was this moment when I recognized that really at the base of it all, we are all exactly the same. It's so easy when I can just remind you that, somebody will say, I had a coaching client the other day telling me that they were, talking about the differences in opinions, right? And this is all in the environment, political and this and that, and that people are saying this, and this is frustrating him, and this and that. And I was like, well, you all want the same thing, right? He's like, no. I mean, he's very much arguing with me, and because there's no way that we want the same thing. These are people that are choosing mass, not mass, all the different divisions happening. And I said, oh, you don't think that everybody just wants health and love and happiness and that we're all just really searching for that. And maybe we all see different paths. And again, that comes from whatever program is running and the way that you're viewing things. But we all ultimately have that similar goal. If we can just remember that, it's so much easier to have compassion for that human, to help them out, to love them, no matter what their choices are in their decisions.
Love it. Couple comments, Debbie, real quick here. Let's see. Adair says, Debbie's approach to growth and transformation is life-changing. Feel so fortunate to be able to listen to her here. Thank you. You're welcome, Adair. Thank you. Dawn asks, does Debbie teach online yoga classes or YouTube?
I do. Yes. I'm so grateful you brought that up, because I wanted to also mention I do have a YouTube channel where if you've already watched all the Center for Spiritual Living videos with Rev Charles and you're just looking for more inspiration, I pop on there from time to time with quick little videos or like 5-minute just reminders, to come back to self kind of thing. And on there I also have yoga videos. I have been filming. I only do one online class a week for a company called True Fusion. It's on Sundays. I call it Soulful Sunday. So it's a beautiful gift. We bring in a little of that soulfulness, that connection. And that's at 10 a.m. And you can, if you don't catch the online class, which is free and available to anybody, if you don't catch that, you can see it on my YouTube channel. Most of the time I take those and transfer them. So.
And what's your YouTube channel called, Debbie?
Just Debbie Dixon.
Debbie Dixon.
Yeah.
DEBBIEDIXON, ladies and gentlemen. Dixon, cool. So let's get into this layers of the self thing, because it was really cool how you present and the feedback loop, physical, emotional, mind, spirit.
Yeah.
And talked about it. You know what it reminded me of is the science of mind teaching symbol. I wish I could look up real quick, because you talked about that there's like here, let me like, this is the science of mind. Anybody see that? There's a descent of spirit and an ascent of spirit. And that's kind of what I thought, what I heard you talk about in that. So go for it. Layers of the self.
And that is the way I see this when I'm talking about it, very much so. And so, what I was saying to you yesterday is basically, we have the spirit, the higher self. We all have a divine, unique purpose. There's something that you're here to do, right? There's something that you're moving through, a way that you're growing that is particular to you, that is, what makes you special and unique. It's that little spark within you. And again, this alignment to the higher self is constantly giving you feedback about that. Like, are you on the path towards this goal, or are you off the path? So it kind of starts there with the spirit, that we're all, again, here with this divine spark, this unique mission. And if we're off the path, we will know it because the spirit talks to us through the mind. So have maybe negative, our feedback from spirit and misalignment in that. Maybe, we're showing up in the world, not maybe confronting, not moving forward, but instead retracting into, a place that is not in alignment with spirit, like fear or, sadness or, guilt, those sort of things. That's not where your natural state is. Your natural state is love, compassion, it's appreciation, it's peace. We know when we're there. So there's this feedback loop. The spirit will speak to the mind, and then suddenly your mind starts running with these negative thoughts. So we can start there by kind of noticing it, right? It's very subtle. It's like, if we can pay attention to our mind, we can alter that. We can change that and get back on path right there. We could say, wow, okay, my mind is saying, all kinds of negative things. I need to figure out how to get back again. Maybe this is through meditation. Maybe this is through, just sitting with yourself, asking those questions. Why do I feel off? What's going on for me?
Poke and provoke and confront.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Yeah, because there's your opportunity to look at it. Okay, there's something happening. It's, I'm being poked. And so what is it that is happening? And I'm going to look at it. And then there's an opportunity there to clear it right there. And we can elevate above it and come back to spirit again, right? There is that opportunity. And I have a whole video. It's called I think I call it the 5 hindrances or the 5 enemies. Those are usually what come into the mind that pull you away. And so it's I don't want to get into that because time wise, but it's really interesting when we look at that. Like one of the enemies, for example, is I think we talked about last time, doubt, agitation, restlessness, these sort of things. So desire. So anyways, we have this feedback that comes into the mind. We can cure it there, and then we can realign with spirit. Most of the time we don't. Most of the time we just push the mind away because we're asked to show up in this world a certain way. And so we sort of subdue the spirit a little bit. I know that my spirit is calling me to do something different with my life, with my job, with my relationship, I know I'm being called to that, but I have to pay the bills. Yeah. Or everybody in my world is telling me I should be doing this. So do the spirit, we don't pay attention to the mind, we just kind of push it aside and we keep trucking through, right? And then eventually what happens is the mind, with those negative thoughts, produces emotions in the body, right? This is, it could be the negative thoughts are producing emotions like sadness. I mean, we know that you could be right now in your living room and you could be in the best living room in the world. Like it's something out of Homes and Gardens. It's like beautiful. Or you're somewhere in the most beautiful setting. And one thought, right? One thought, I'm lovable. That person did this to me. Somebody harmed me. A thought can take away your peace and your happiness. Suddenly, it doesn't matter where you are because that thought has taken you somewhere else where, you're now immersed in something negative, and it actually starts to physically manifest as an emotion.
Yes.
That next level. So we're feeling heavy. We're feeling an emotion that's holding us down. It's sadness. It's guilt, as you mentioned, anger. Frustration, it's a misalignment. And so once that is sort of manifested into our bodies and we're feeling it, there's another opportunity, right? We're now feeling sad. So either you fix it by going back up that feedback loop, going to the mind and going, what's producing this? What sort of thoughts? And then can I clear those thoughts and go back to spirit? There's a way to circle back through before you go deeper. If you don't, which is what most people do because we don't know how to, armed with that. So most of us are, again, 1 in 5 we'll just push it down. We push it down with maybe you take that glass of wine at night, or you go to the doctor and you get prescribed something, and oftentimes these are things that we need to help us get through. But I wish that people would see those as that crutch that's taking you through, but now we got to heal. Now we got to move. We got to go, why are these emotions showing up? What's happening in my mind? And can I change this? And then can I reconnect with spirit? So move back up. Because ultimately, then we move down into, once those emotions have been suppressed long enough, suddenly we're having now physical symptoms. This is starts to show up in the physical body where, we'll have some sort of pain, maybe heart pain, chest pain, stomach aches, actual, physical problems. So once it shows up here in our physical body as manifesting as sickness, as brokenness in some way, now we can easily fix it because we're very good at maneuvering through this gross, I can fix that chair when it's broken. I can fix my body when it's broken. But we need to ask, why is it broken? And then start to work our way back up. What am I, so for me, the way to do this is we have to sit with this understanding of all of us need to look at our physical bodies and look at it as a temple, and begin the process of purification, of cleansing this temple, of healing it of all toxins, of really worshiping this temple in a way that, we love it, right? We love it. We don't want to put a toxin into it because we love it. And when you can do that, when you purify that, now you'll be asked to move into the next layer. So this is that loop we were talking about. You're moving up. Once you've purified your physical body, now you're able to actually deal with whatever emotions you've suppressed, which, trust me, everybody has. And once we start to clear out the emotional body, we work through it. We sit with those emotions. That's the confrontation. We look at, okay, I'm sad. What's happening there? Can I love that? Can I sit with that? Can I release it in some way? Can I move through it? And then once we clear all of the emotions from the body, now we can start finally purifying the mind. And the magic happens. When we can purify our minds, this is the direct gateway and connection to our spirit. And we can remember who we are and what we're here to do.
Enough said. Everybody have a good day. So what about this though? Because last time we chatted too. So is the glass of wine at the end of the day a bad thing, or is it more of like a celebratory thing, not a comfort thing? You know what I'm saying?
Well, there's certain things, and again, that's intuitive. And once you've purified your body, I would urge you to spend some time free of wine to really go through that purification process. And then once you've purified and you've reconnected with spirit and you know what I'm talking about, you're like, oh, I get you, Debbie. I get it. I know what it feels like because I remember that time when I had that moment where I felt in alignment. And when you can do that, then you'll notice when you shift out of alignment again and you're able to go, okay, I need to spend a few days purifying, or I need to do this, right? But what we need to do is make sure we aren't weighing ourselves down with substances. We aren't utilizing them to mute whatever emotions are showing up. So it's all in how are you doing it? And many of us create, again, a story so we can validate our usage of whatever. But really, you know the answer to that, whether or not you're truly feeling aligned or you're numbing or pushing emotions down through a toxin,
Love it. Adair says, Debbie is speaking science of mind without the familiar jargon. It's true.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And you're familiar with the jargon too. I mean, you know, yep. So that, I mean, it's good. Are we here to feel? I mean, the emotional part of it. So the emotion it's part of the feedback loop. It's natural. We're actually here to feel. Would you agree with that? That it's a natural thing?
100. In fact, I call it talking about acronyms, I call it the EGS. So your emotions are your guidance system. We need to pay attention to our emotions. The EGS is emotional guidance system. So we use our GPS, we'll drop an address into something, again, to navigate the external world. Well, we have a natural navigation system within us that is yelling at us if we are off path. Right? Again, the spirit is talking to us and it moves through these layers to say, hey, you're off, get back. Well, there's gross to subtle, right? Gross being this gross form, this physical body. This is where we can really feel when we're off because, we feel pain. We can feel that pain. Well, in our emotional body, we also can feel pain. Yeah, that's actually an emotional pain. It's just the same, only it's your emotional body that's being hurt, not your physical body. And that is telling you, hey, it's screaming to you, I need to be fixed. I need you to care for me. You're off path. There's something you can do here, Yep.
Yeah, I think you mentioned recently too. It's like, if you break your ankle, it's exactly what needs to be addressed. So when we're in tune with our emotional body and we're out of balance, whether it's anxiety, shame, all of fear, doubt, these things we talked about, when we're in tune with that, we know kind of what we need to go to the quote unquote doctor for, the spiritual doctor, the life coach, the practitioner, whatever.
So beautifully said. That is absolutely perfect. Exactly. So again, we've been taught how to work through the physical form, right? So if the chair is broken, we know how to fix it. If the leg is broken, we put a cast on it. It's very easy in this external. But a lot of us are not sure how to heal emotions. We haven't been given those in there. There really is a whole, as you said, you go to a spiritual doctor, you go to somebody then that can actually assist you in, let's move through this. Let's look at those emotions. What are they pointing to? Because again, the emotions come from the mind. So what are they pointing to as far as where are we off? What are the thought processes that are showing up? You know, I say this a lot to my clients as well, because a lot of what we have to do is go back to programming that they didn't even realize was there, but they've been utilizing it to navigate their lives, their whole lives. Because as children, we don't have a whole lot of control over, you know, external circumstances. And so the way that we are perceiving the world is often gifted to us from our parents or teachers, those that we rely on. They tell us, and then we witness it through their eyes and their experiences. And so we begin to see it and it becomes validated. And oftentimes we also create beliefs because we're protecting ourselves. You know, sometimes as children, we might not be in safe environments. You know, we might be experiencing lack, scarcity. So we create beliefs that are designed to protect us. Well, then fast forward 20 years, 30 years, and now you're in a completely different situation. You're totally safe. You're in control of your life again. All right, now we need to look at those belief systems that were in place to help you then, but are they still helping you, or right now are they harming you?
Yeah, that's it sounds a lot like recovery work. You know, when people talk about recovery, it's recovery, like getting back in touch with, now that I do have dominion over my life. Yeah. To actually recovering my essence again as well. You know, the world's it's a fascinating place. I know that's nondescript, but it's filled with everything that you're talking about, people's perceptions, and they're flying all over the place, and we get it all over each other and things like that. And then when we do become, you know, a sovereign individual, if you will, to recover these ideas that that we are glorious, that we're one human family, that there's a glory about me and a glory about you, that there's a, as I mentioned to you, there's a radiance. You know, that's what I said, first thing I said to you when we got on, you're radiating, you know, that there's a radiance. Thank you. To recover that, to reclaim, to get back to it so that we can, it seems like that this work, we can talk about it for now, I don't know, 45, 50 minutes. I once heard a long time ago, it's simple but not easy. You know, simple to talk about, but not the easiest process to work with, because there is some heavy lifting involved. There is some provoke, and poking. The elevation's the fun part, but we're not going to get to the elevation until we poke, provoke, and confront.
Absolutely. You know, you got to look. Here's the hardest thing for people to do. Is look at those stories. See, those stories that that I was just talking about, that maybe you were given as a child, that were necessary, but now they've been dictating your whole life. Okay, victim. Maybe you were a victim as a child. Now you've been living as a victim your whole life. So you've had nothing but, to be a victim, you have to have people taking advantage of you. So you've had that, and you've just verified that to the nth degree. And now you meet Debbie, and Debbie says, well, the only way we can change this is for you to take back control and to own that story as yours, and to change your story from victim now. So you have to let go of it. You can't tell that victim story anymore. You have to tell the story of overcoming, and how all of that was perfect. And that was just the universe showing up to reveal to you the story that you were holding on to. Are you willing to do that? And this is where people get stuck. What, you're trying to tell me I created that? Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, and again, when you can do that, when you can own that, when you can say that you are the creator, stop reacting to life and keeping yourself in that role, but to shift now into a place of, I am going to become the creator, and I'm going to tell a new story. I'm going to let go of all those old stories. And magic happens.
Yep. Annette says willingness to consistently work with growth. What's that? Take full responsibility, question mark. That's when we're in our most powers, and that's the only thing that we really have control over is this right here.
Yeah.
So what about
when we can do that, when we can shift and stop, and when we can love ourselves so much that we can say, yeah, I did create that. And you know what? I'm going to choose something else right now. I'm going to let go of that story. I'm going to cleanse my palate. I'm going to move forward. You know what happens is suddenly we release this judgment of ourselves, right? This heavy judgment. It's suddenly we're like, it's okay. It's okay that I did that. It's okay. I don't really. And then when we can release a judgment of ourselves, we suddenly are able to remove judgment from the world. It's amazing how many of my clients that they'll view the world a certain way because they're saying, well, I have high standards for myself, Debbie. I don't let myself put anything bad in my body, and I don't do whatever it is that they believe, and they judge themselves on, right? They have a harsh judgment about if they were to eat something bad, they would beat themselves up for it. They'll look at somebody else who's eating something bad and let those thoughts come through their mind. Oh, look at them. They're terrible, right? There's judgment. The first thing we got to scrub ourselves clean from once we get to that space where we're purifying the mind is judgment. To do that, you have to start looking at every single person, and no matter where they are in their path, I don't care what they're doing to themselves or to others or to anything, you got to be able to love them. And you wish for them blessings, wish that they have nothing but joy in their life, and that they're confronting and moving forward. So maybe they're in a different place, but hopefully they're finding their way.
Yeah, right on. Comment: I heard today our role is not to judge, but to help and support others who do not know the truth. Help, heal, nurture.
Oh, love that.
Takeaway, yeah. So real quick, we've just got a couple minutes, and then I want to hype you up a little bit here, and what you're up to in the world. So what about when somebody actually begins to, let's just say, as we've heard, take their power back, feel their power, feel empowered, and then there's the dragons that they've allowed to exist in their life, whether it's they're not willing to confront a certain person, or they've been in a job that they haven't been in. Or they've been in a job that they haven't wanted to be in for a long time, or a relationship that they haven't wanted to be in, or have the conversations that they need to have in order to keep them in the relationship, et cetera, et cetera. Then what? Do we just leap? Do we just have them and trust that the universe has our back? When is that it?
Your only job is to cleanse you. Change the way that you view the world. As you mentioned, release judgment, come into a place of peace within yourself, and then suddenly it really doesn't matter what's around. And you'll start, when you honor you're going to put yourself around people and things that match where you're at. And it's interesting because, for example, when lower place, right? We're in a place of judgment of ourselves and whatnot. It feels good to gossip or talk about others, right? And it feels good because it somehow makes us feel a little bit better about where we're at. So we'll find ourselves doing that. Maybe we're gossiping. Maybe we're doing something, negative. When you start to elevate above that, right? Those people that are still there, maybe your friends that are used to coming to you to do the gossip thing or talk negative, or those people will call you up, and suddenly you don't want to participate anymore. Suddenly you want to look at it like, well, yeah, I see that they're going through struggles, but maybe they're just having a hard time. How can we help them? Instead of wanting to hold them down through even your way of talking about them, you begin to elevate everybody you speak about, everybody. So what will happen in that instance is that person that called you to stay negative, they're not going to want to talk to you anymore because you're not, they're like, why are you doing that? It won't feel good to them anymore. So it's really, when we start to shift our perception, suddenly our world around us will just change. I have people all the time, they'll call me up and, you know, just like I said, where, you know, they've asked me for these big changes. What they want is this greatness. And we talk about that. And then all of a sudden they're calling me the next week when they lose their job and they're devastated. And that's that confrontation. Again, remember when you asked for that? Remember when you said that nothing about this job matched where you were and you hated going there every day? Why are you not being grateful? Why are you thankful that this has left your life? And now tuning your energy into what you want again and really focusing on that and watching that manifest. You got to step into faith. You have to find faith.
That's it, because probably their attention's going to a paycheck or security, things like that. So I wanted greater freedom. Life is presenting it this way, but I still need to put some money in the bank. The mortgage still needs to get paid, right? So,
and that's where they get stuck, because then they start giving all their energy to the fear, and they've forgotten that to have this faith and that everything always works out for us, that you're the creator. So if you're now in react mode, oh, you've shifted over here, you stepped out of your power. So that's where the confrontation comes in. Oh, look at me. I'm out of faith right now. I need to elevate again. I need to come back and look from this perspective of remembering everything is always happening for me. I've always been okay. And I need to start telling the story of that and watching how magically. And so a lot of times when I'm sitting with clients and I can see that they're blocked because they're used to money coming from that one source, the job source, and now that's been cut off. And I remind them that if you can open yourself back up, that money can come to you in a million different ways. If you allow the universe to provide for you, magic will happen. Magic will happen. Yeah.
Right on. I came to the conclusion a number of years ago that there are, how many ways do each of us have that we spend money every month? The cell bill, the rent or mortgage, the car payment, groceries, gas, et cetera, et cetera. Why not have as many ways that money comes in?
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's all a mental shift. When I'll just have somebody sit down for a second, close your eyes. Let's take 5 deep breaths. And now I want you to picture all the ways you're allowing money to come to you. And I just want you to imagine like you have these cords, just energetic cords are feeding you with abundance. And I just want you to imagine more of them coming. And just open that channel up and allow. And I swear, suddenly they're like, wow, you know, there is other, you know, I didn't even realize that. Yeah, I could just open this one up and suddenly money comes in this way. Yeah, and it's all changing the way that you're looking at things, opening up your mind.
Love it. Let's see, do we have couple more last comments? Let me see. Someone says brilliant. Right on. Must be talking about you. Okay. So you can stay up to date with Debbie at Debbie Dixon on her YouTube channel. Debbie Dixon, right? Capital D, Debbie Dixon. Yep. Yeah. DebbieDixon.net, all one word, DebbieDixon.net. You're up to you're a life coach. You're working on your second book or third book? You're working on like 5 books at a time.
Yeah, I'm working on a few, but yeah, second book that will be in the self-help genre.
There you go. Cool. So I mentioned the retreat in Sahuarita. There are a few spots still open. If folks can get more information about that at DebbieDixon.net, that's on there. Yep. What do you have? 3-4 spots open, did you say?
I do, yeah. As of now, I think we have 4 or 3. You're right, 3 that are open.
Okay.
But you know, that's also flexible. So if you know, just contact me if it's something you're considering. There's a possibility I could open up a couple of extra spots, maybe.
Cool.
We really need this right now, so I'm so excited for it. And
cool.
So just know, you know, anybody, I have a nonprofit, Love is the Truth. And my goal, I'm at the place in my life where it's not about getting anymore. It really is about giving. And that is where my heart is. I really do believe the things I'm saying. So I know that God, you know, the universe has my back. I know this. I have faith. So so there's a willingness in me to be there for you if you need it, and even if you can't afford it. So I want to put that out there. Don't hesitate to reach out to me, no matter what's happening, and even if there is, some concerning monetary things going on.
Cool. Okay. And people can get in touch with you through your website.
Through my website. Mm-hmm.
Right on. Again, Debbie Dixon, Dixon.net.
Yeah.
Jeff, I know in our pregame you asked Debbie a bunch of questions too. Is there anything I'm missing right now?
No, sir. And I put all those links, and I put a couple of, or I put a video example of, is it fear or intuition? I put that link in the chat.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. You're the man. That's Jeff again.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. Jeff's awesome.
Yeah.
Any final words, my friend?
Yeah, just, really quick about my nonprofit, Love is the Truth. I know we have just a few seconds left, but that, we have, it's sort of in alignment with the fact that oftentimes we all get stuck, and we can get stuck in our physical lives. This could be, not having a home anymore, not having, food on the table. And so my nonprofit is really just that we have a lot of stuff to help sort of put a Band-Aid on it. We help people. A lot of nonprofits put you in a house. A lot of nonprofits put clothes on your back. And it's so fantastic because we need to alleviate the immediate thing. With my nonprofit, what I do then is come in and help to heal the consciousness that created that. So that is what, when I'm talking about being of service, that's where I sit.
Love it. Awesome. And it's called
Love is the Truth.
Love is the Truth. Yeah. Do you have a separate nonprofit called Realizing Your Dreams, or is that part of, no?
Yeah, that's Realizing Your Dreams as the work that we do.
Gotcha.
So through Love is the Truth, we have a program that we implement called Realizing Your Dreams, that I walk people through, that as you move through this process, you begin to take back control of your life again, and sort of awaken to your power.
Gotcha. So you're cornering the market on everything affirmative, basically.
Hope so. Just want to, bring people back to themselves. My goal is that every single person on this planet knows how beautiful and amazing that they are, and that they can remember that, and that they can know at least one person truly loves them. I really do.
Love it. Love it. Ladies and gentlemen, the MVP of humanity, Debbie Dixon. You're awesome. Come back and join me again, right?
Thank you so much for having me on, and so wonderful.
Awesome. Cool. And let's see, tomorrow, Dr. Laura's going to be with you in the morning for Life on Love. She's going to do whatever she does with Life on Love. I'm still healing from the week's activities with the loss of a loved one in my family. So I'm not quite at a place of being able to talk for an hour about myself. We'll get back on that probably next Friday. I'm just kind of being with the grieving process and letting it happen. So I'm so grateful that Dr. Laura is willing to step in and share her story and who she is, and we get to know her a little bit better too. I'm grateful for that. So that's tomorrow, and then we've of course got our meditation on Saturday, and our service will come to you first thing on Sunday morning. Let's see, and then we've got another great lineup coming at you next week. Well, this does look pretty good. I might start wearing it like more often, Jeff. It's bad. Let's see. We continue to appreciate your financial gifts to the center, and we appreciate you and love you and can't wait to see you very soon. Have an extraordinary Friday. Much love. Bye-bye.
Thank you.